we got an interesting one today because, to be honest, the last few months for me have been an absolute shit show, especially the last few weeks. They really have been some of the hardest of my whole life, and I feel like every time I made it through something, just another big bomb goes off. I feel like I'm taking one step forward and 20 steps back, and a lot has felt like it's been falling apart. There's a lot of uncertainty, just a lot of heavy things that were weighing on me. And I know I'm not the only one who's been feeling this way or feels this way or goes through these periods. And maybe for a lot of people, it's work or relationships or health. But I feel like if you've been walking through a season where you just can't catch a break, where you're feeling just so drained and maxed out emotionally, mentally, spiritually, I feel like this episode is going to be for you. And normally it's easy to look back and reflect on this kind of stuff when you're out of the thick of it and like when you processed it. At the stage where we were planning this and writing all this, I feel like I was still very much in the middle of it, and I think that that is kind of an important perspective that we can talk about too, because it's easier looking back to have the perspective, but it's different when you're actually in it and actually going through it. And so I just feel like it's been one of those seasons where you question what you're doing, why even bother keep going, feels like you can't take it anymore. And so I feel like we want to share like how we navigate these moments in real time and how we're actively catching ourselves and implementing these types of shifts.
We're hoping it doesn't come across as like some feel good, like you got this pep talk, because that's pretty top level, right? And so what we're going to offer you guys is real tools, like stuff that we can actually, or that we actually do use with our clients when they're getting ready to throw in that towel on the fitness journey or anything else really that they may be trying to accomplish. So today we're going to dive into 5 mindset shifts that'll help you keep showing up even when everything in you kind of wants to check out.
Yep. It's a good one. I really like these types of topics and just getting into the mental stuff. And like I said, it's real life stuff that we go through.
I really like these too, and I think I have like a love hate with it, or I don't know, love hate, but love like concern, because whenever we plan these out and I look at it and I'm like, I don't know like what I want to say or how I want to say this or how I can relate to certain things. And I think it relates to like real life. Whenever we have these kind of conversations, real life, like you really, again, it's not surface level. You really have to dig deep and really think about, and just do some soul searching in a way, and just kind of figure out like what am I really need to look at here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, before we get into that, you said we got some new data out that you were looking at from CDC. You want to share?
Yeah, so I saw this data the other day, and it was on teenagers and pre-diabetes. And it was 1 out of 3 teens. So like 33% of teenagers today have pre-diabetes, which to me, yeah, it just blows my mind.
That's crazy.
It is. That's really high, and obviously, if no one does anything about it, then those people are going to end up getting diabetes, which is tough to have to deal with. And the good thing is that it's easily reversible. I mean, it takes a lot of habit changes. But I wanted to kind of have a discussion with you and just what are the reasons? Like, what do you think is going on? Because when I was thinking about, at first I was like, oh, well, these kids, they just eat all this sugar all day and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I used to have like a Dr. Pepper a day. I had dessert after every dinner. Like I ate a lot of sugar. And so I don't know if it's necessarily that like per se, I don't know. So, but I have some thoughts and I wondered if you had any thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting discussion. I mean, obviously, a lot of it has to come down to food. And even kind of what you were saying, too. I think probably when you were growing up, or even when I was growing up compared to now, I feel like the quality is different and just the ingredients they're putting in are different. And so I feel like that could maybe contribute to it, too, just being like so much more shit that they're putting in, all the artificial stuff and the dyes and all of that. And then probably also, obviously, the activity is a big one, too, with kids like people always say like kids are always used to be out like playing like they would just like let them go in the neighborhood and they're running around, and now people are on their phones playing video games, whatever, like just sitting inside, very sedentary. So I'm sure that contributes a lot to it as well.
Yeah, I had a couple ideas on this. So one, I think the activity thing is one of the main reasons, because I remember as a kid, even when I was older, like in the summertime, for example, I would wake up as early as I could, and the first thing I did was run outside and play outside in the Houston heat 100-degree weather for hours, whether it was shooting baskets and playing football or baseball. And a lot of times it was just by myself. It wasn't even like I needed people to do it with me. And that was like my morning routine. I was always outside, and I had video games, and I
Mhm.
enjoyed playing the video games, and I would take time to do that. But the majority of the day, the highest percentage of my activities were done outside or something real active. And so even if I did have that Dr. Pepper or the dessert or something like that, I think all that activity kind of counterbalanced all that. And the other thing I was thinking about too is, even though we both, when we were kids and the kids now, had a lot of sugar, other than all the additives we're adding now and how it's just a little bit different, I feel like the implementation of like snacks is a much bigger thing now, meaning that it's almost like you have to have a snack every day. I know, like in the classroom, my kids are always like, when is snack time? When can I have a snack? And a lot of times they're not even hungry. They just
Mhm.
eat because they know it's snack time, or they eat because a friend's getting a snack. And I've done some things where I'm just like, you can have a snack anytime you want. If you're hungry, have your snack. There's no like snack time. And it's amazing how a lot of the kids forget they have a snack. And it's
Mhm.
almost lunchtime. They're like, oh, I haven't even had my snack yet. I need to have it right now. I'm like, why? You weren't hungry. It's because you have the snack.
Yeah.
And so, because I don't, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I just don't remember this, but I don't ever remember having like a snack during school. Like you had to have a snack. And then even when at home, like I don't feel like I snacked that much, but I don't know, maybe my mom will correct me and say, no, actually you did. But the other thing I was thinking about was, there's so many places that we make as like destinations that are just real high calorie, real high sugar items, like coffee shops, for example. I mean, I love going to coffee shops. And of course, when we go, everyone gets a sugar laden drink, and so, I'll tell you this funny story. The other day, it was maybe a few weeks ago, whatever, there was a kid at the gym, and he works the fit floor, so he's just kind of helping out, and he was pouring himself some coffee, and it was just black coffee, and this kid's like in high school, and I was kind of surprised, like, oh, you like coffee, huh? And he's like, oh, I love coffee. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Most kids are like, black coffee's different. And I was like, you just like black coffee? He goes, yeah, I just like it black. And I look over, and he's like dumping like the sugar thing like into the black coffee, and like to him, like that was black coffee.
Oh no.
And so I just think the idea behind different things that we do every day is just and then of course the lack of activity is kind of leading to that. But that's definitely a problem if we don't start making some changes. And I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know if it's really the kids' fault. I mean, I kind of feel like as adults, we've kind of set up this environment for them, and they're just making the most of it.
hmm Yeah, 33% is a crazy stat, especially just for teenagers. And yeah, like you said, it usually comes down to how they were raised or the habits that were instilled with them or the example that was set, which is why we always talk about how important it is to lead by example, especially if you're a parent and you're leading a family and raising kids. I feel like they're watching what you're doing. Obviously, the things that you eat, the things that you make, that's what they're adopting. And even what you were saying too about the snacks and kind of just being like a habit that kids get into. I feel like a lot, like this is stuff we talk about with anyone, with clients, is just don't eat distracted. I think a lot of kids are watching TV and eating snacks or watching YouTube or whatever it is. And then it's a lot easy to overeat on that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, and that's a really good tip for anyone. And if eating distracted, if you eat and with intention, without a phone, without TV, just have a conversation with a friend or family member, and just really pay attention to your food. Usually, you eat less, and you appreciate it more, and you can tell when you're actually full.
hmm Yeah.
And this is not really related. The other thing I was thinking about was when I was on vacation. It was like one of the last days, and we were walking back from the pool, and there's a lot of people. There was a lot of conferences going on, and there was a guy like in a suit, just kind of hanging out. I guess he was just wasting some time. And he looked at me and he said, that takes a lot of discipline, man. And I was like, what? And he goes, I can tell, you live a very healthy lifestyle. That takes a lot of discipline. And maybe it was a look I gave him or something. I kind of like, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't expecting that. And he said, sorry, man, hopefully that wasn't weird. I just feel like guys don't really give each other compliments. And so I thought it was nice to give you a compliment. And I was like, oh, I appreciate that. And so I was thinking about that as, I feel like, I don't know. What do you think? Do guys not give each other compliments as much, or like, do we give each other, are we more like difficult on each other, but more honest, or is it feel weird? I guess For me, I think sometimes like if I give another guy a compliment, I don't know, maybe that's kind of weird, unless it's like in the right circumstance or happen. If I'm at the gym and someone has a PR and I was like, that's awesome lift, they'll be pretty excited. But if they're just walking around and I say, hey, nice shoes, man, they're like, really? What? Like, I don't know. You tell me, are women the same way?
Um,
Or what's your experience personally?
I mean, yeah, when it comes to men, like I don't know, I don't know the that'd be more for you. I don't know the insights on what goes through men's minds. But as far as women, I feel like in general, women give a lot of compliments, but they're I don't know, like it's just oh yeah, I feel like I get more from women. It's just like, oh, like that's such a cute outfit, or I love your hair, just simple stuff like that. I feel like a lot of women go and do that, and I feel like more so lately, or at least in the communities that I'm in. So I feel like I've noticed that a lot. But yeah, I imagine that men aren't as frequent with that type of stuff, especially like, oh, like great, you look great, man, or like I love the outfit or something like that, because it's just not as applicable. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation.
Well, I don't want to speak for women, but for speaking for men, I feel like a lot of times we don't just throw around the compliments. So like if we're like, especially if it's another guy, if I'm telling a guy like, oh wow, like you're looking really good, it's not because I'm trying to be nice. Like I really think that he's working hard. He looks really good.
Yeah. I feel like I'd imagine for men it's more of like when you have a more relationship, like it's not just like a random person you're going up to and be like, oh, like you look great. Like I feel like at least from my perspective, it seems like it'd be easier when you have like them, you know what they're doing, or you just have more of that relationship. That I feel like it becomes easier. Do you feel like that's accurate?
Probably, probably, yeah. We could probably
Yeah,
go way deeper in this, but it was something that I remember from the trip, and I just wanted to throw it out there and see what your thoughts were.
that's
That was
wholesome though. I love that he said that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we all like compliments, right? It always boosts our confidence. So, yeah, I was appreciative for it for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a good reminder for everyone. It's just hype people up, spread some love, spread some encouragement. That's something I really try to do. Every time I think of someone or I'm just grateful for someone, I will literally like go make a quick video on my phone and send it to them. I think same goes for compliments. Like if you're thinking something, if someone looks good in the gym, if they're crushing it, if they got a cute outfit on, whatever it is, just say it. Just like speak what's on your mind. I feel like it makes such like a much bigger impact than you think it does.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that goes along with the gratitude thing. Like when we're, because we've talked about that a lot lately. When you are really appreciative and when you're like intentionally thinking about the things you're thankful for, I think that puts you in a better place to look at other people in a really good light. And like you said, sometimes there are times where you're like, oh, I don't know if I should say something. And like you said, just say it. That person's probably, you never know what they're going through. You could have just totally made their day. And people love to hear that.
Yeah, more times than not, when I send people those videos, like it's always crazy. They're like, "Wow, I can't believe the timing of this. Like, like I need this exactly right now." I'm like, "Oh wow, like that's it's really cool." So yeah, just say it. It's gonna make someone's day. It's gonna make you feel better too, as a side effect.
Yeah, it really does. All right, and I think we wanted to talk about one more thing before we get on with this episode, right? So you have some big news.
I do. So most people don't know this, but I actually had a full-time job up in this entire time that I've been building this business and doing all of this. And as of last week, I put in my 2 weeks. So officially, I have a couple more days left and then I'm done.
That's big, right? Like, how do you feel about this?
Really big. I don't know how I feel about it yet, to be honest. It hasn't
Not
really
enough
sunk.
time to kind of soak in.
It really hasn't. Yeah, it hasn't sunk in yet. I think mostly just because it's been such a crazy busy season the last few weeks. So it's like I don't even have time or space to just sit and process it. I tried to do a little bit last weekend. I journaled 10 pages, went ham, and just was getting out a lot of thoughts. So yeah, I don't know because right now too, I'm wrapping up my 2 weeks there, so nothing's really changed yet. But I imagine next week, with my first full week of just having more freedom and being able to move my schedule around a lot, I feel like that's when it'll start to hit a little bit more too. So yeah, I don't know how to feel about it.
That's exciting, though. I think that's gonna be fun for you.
Yeah,
Take a lot of stress off your plate.
I hope so. I think because I was kind of hoping when I made that decision that I would feel a little bit more at ease and less stressed, but I think nothing really changed. So that's why I'm like, oh, I don't know how to feel about it. I still just feel that anxiety and that fear and everything. But I know that will just go away with time. I just have to take that leap and go into the unknown and just know that it's going to be okay and that everything's going to work out how it's supposed to. But yeah, definitely still feeling a lot of pressure and anxiety around that. And also just anxiety around the unknown as far as my schedule too, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have a lot more freedom. Like right now, I'm pretty dialed in. Like no time is wasted. But I feel like once I have more of that flexibility, I want to make sure that I'm not like I want to still be as efficient and effective as possible and make the most of it and structure things out, which I know I'll be able to. But I think there's just the unknown of not knowing exactly what that looks like yet, because I do love structure so much.
Yeah, there'll be a learning curve there for sure. And like you said, there'll probably be some anxiety and some not being sure about what you're doing and how to go about it. But in time, it will work itself out.
Yeah. And the main reason I wanted to do this too is, I mean, there's a lot of main reasons. I think the biggest one, kind of like we were talking about a little bit earlier, is just I freaking love this team so much. We've gotten some new teammates lately. We just had your 1 year anniversary with Unbreakable, and like that was really all the confirmation and confidence I needed to be like, okay, this is it. Like, I don't see myself doing anything else. Like, I want to pour into you guys as much as possible. I want to pour into our clients as much as possible. So I'm like, I just need to go all in. Like, this needs to be my top priority. And then there's the other piece too of, as we know, I've been trying to prioritize relationships and experiences and trying to take better care of myself and not working so much and not going through these crazy cycles of burnout. And like you just go through, like I've been going through those cycles of burnout so much, and I feel like they are getting more frequent and worse. That's like, what's the like? Why am I holding on to this? I was just holding on to that job for security and just comfort at that point. I mean, there's a lot more context that goes into that with the like with my job and everything, but ultimately that's what it comes down to. And I also realized it came down to my identity was tied up in just needing to grind and push and do more, and like it's tied more to my accomplishments and all of that. And so I just need to release and let that go and just focus on my priority, which has been relationships and experiences, and just letting myself live a little bit more and be okay with that and be okay with growing in that area, as opposed to just having to grind to prove I don't even know what at this point.
Well, and of course, you know, you'll put your faith and your trust in God, and He'll walk you through it, and you'll be good.
Yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I already have just I think I've already noticed a huge shift in my energy and just what I'm starting to attract to. I feel like I'm operating at a different wavelength and different energy and just like feeling a lot more aligned. And I'm attracting all sorts of just like crazy, amazing people in my life, just new friends, new connections, new community, like network, like just so much crazy shit is happening. And like it feels really, really fulfilling because I've never had anything like that before. And let alone like all these opportunities, all these people to hang out with and connect with. And like I've felt very, very fulfilled and just very aligned already, even just the last week, even though I'm not even like officially out of this job. So I am really looking forward to it. I feel like a lot of new doors are going to open in a lot of different areas. So it's exciting, nerve wracking, but it'll be good.
It'll be good for sure.
And I believe we have someone to celebrate one of our clients this week. We want to get on the weekly win train.
Yeah, so client spotlight is for Jared. You know, Jared's journey is such a powerful reminder that his transformation isn't just measured in pounds lost. We can talk about that, or macros tracked, or personal records hit, which he's had plenty of, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all part of the process. I mean, he's just been crushing it, and I could have spent a lot of time just talking about that, but because we fixate on those numbers and the visible progress, but his real growth has happened behind the scenes, and it's in those like small daily wins that he just keeps adding up, and the choice that he makes to keep showing up a lot of times when it's easier not to, and the discipline to stay the course when no one's really watching or paying attention, and the mindset shift from like I have to do this to hey, I get to do this. And those tiny actions have really built traction in his habits, and has it really deepened his self-awareness, and which has been really fun to watch his growth along the way, and it has ultimately created a lot of lasting changes. And yeah, like I said, Jared's gotten stronger, but more than that, he's really become a leader. I mean, like a rock star leader, and not like in the gym, but in his own life. He's leading by example for his family. He's staying consistent through ups and downs, and just involving in ways that just go far beyond those physical results that we often, look at so much. But this is just what real transformation looks like, and it's personal. He's earned it. I know it's going to stick, and Jared's proof is just that when you focus on the process, the rest will follow. So Jared, and you have been crushing it. Journey's been so much fun, and I always tell him, like, I can't wait to keep seeing what's ahead of us.
Yeah, I feel like he is such a perfect example. And what I always say about fitness isn't just about physical. I think it's more so about how you show up in every single area of your life and how it affects every other area of your life. And we really have seen that with him. Yeah, it is great. Like, especially with his family, I feel like he's made a lot of strides with just building a stronger relationship with his wife and having so much intention poured into that. And with his kids, not only leading by example, but just setting aside time for them. And just, he is so present, so intentional because he has poured into himself. And that also, like, he's been able to kind of start a little side hustle. I know he's building that up on the side, and just, yeah, it's just so cool to see how working on yourself can trickle over into all the other areas of your life, like the work, like relationships, like personal stuff. And it's just been amazing to see that transformation. Just seeing all the updates from him every single day, and just the mental shifts and the way that he thinks is completely different compared to when we started.
Yeah, superstar Jared, we love it.
You're the man. All right. So, getting into the main topic with our five mental shifts, the first one is really what has saved me, especially the last couple weeks. This is what I've been leaning on, relying on, and reminding myself of constantly. And I think it's really powerful. The times I've mentioned this too to my friends, they're like, oh man, like that's such a good point. And it is that the biggest resistance comes before the breakthrough. Because when you're on the verge of something big, life is going to test you, God is going to test you, and usually it's not subtle. You're going to get hit with everything at once. You'll question your path, you'll wonder if it's even worth it, kind of go through that mental cycle that I was talking about earlier. And that's been me this entire season. I had that moment recently where I was just sitting there thinking, like, what am I doing? What's the point? Can I keep pushing? Can I keep doing this? I mean, and newsflash, like, of course I am. Is just, I was in that mental loop. Like, I'm never the person that's going to give up and throw in the towel. But like, sometimes those thoughts creep in, and you just feel like you can't do it. That's the truth that I kept coming back to: is the resistance is a sign. It means that you're close. It means that you're on the right path. And I always believe too that God won't give you the big things if you can't handle the smaller setbacks and the challenges that equip you for those big things. You're getting prepared, you're building the strength, you're building the whatever tools you need to be able to handle the bigger gift that is coming for you, or the bigger breakthrough that is coming for you. And so I think when you see it that way, it makes it a little easier too, because it's actually a good thing that you're getting hit with all the shit that's thrown at you. Like, it's a good thing because it means that you're on the right path. And it means that that big breakthrough, the life you've been waiting for, the big breakthrough, whatever it is that you've been waiting for, it's on the other side of this challenging season. And you just got to dig deep. You got to push through and not let that chaos take you out, and kind of just prove to yourself that you want it as bad as you say you do.
Yeah, have you ever seen that image of the miner digging for gold? And it's a
Yeah.
it's a zoomed out image, right? And he's like deep in this tunnel, just swinging away with his pickaxe, and he's literally like inches from striking gold, but he gives up and he walks away. And so the message is that it's not going to happen overnight, but if you quit, it's not going to happen at all. And we do see this with our clients all the time. And their hardest weeks usually come like right before that breakthrough, right before the weight finally drops, or right before that new habit finally sticks. But a lot of people will quit right there, and they kind of look at that resistance as a sign to stop, when it's actually that confirmation, like, this is working, like it's almost there. So just keep going. So if your workouts feel extra hard, or your nutrition feels off, or you're questioning, like, why am I even doing this? Like, you're probably closer to a breakthrough than you think. And plateaus really often happen right before your body adapts in a positive way. So keep going and don't give up too soon.
Yeah. And I feel like if I look back on every time where I've had, a lot of shit thrown at me, or just like stuff is really tough or really challenging, if you go and look back, I imagine after the fact, that's when again all the big breakthroughs come, or you really step into whatever new chapter, whatever new season. You feel like you kind of get that high. And so I feel like that's kind of where I'm starting to feel now is like I've gotten through the thick of it over the last few weeks, and now everything is just starting to click and just starting to make sense as to why all that was happening at once. And so I think every single time for me, it's rung true in my life and just seeing that. And I think it's such a good reminder and something that I will always cling to is just see that resistance as, okay, that's good. I'm on the right path. Let's dig deep. Let's fucking do this. And what I'm waiting for is right on the other side of it. Have you ever experienced that in your life? Like, do you notice that being a trend for you too?
I feel like, yeah, I feel like it's really hard to look past everything that's going on.
Hmm.
I get kind of stuck, and maybe other people feel like this. I get so stuck in the present time and the present self and what I'm dealing with, as opposed to looking at all the positive things that could be happening or what could be
Hmm.
coming from this, or sometimes also even if it's a struggle right now, how my future self is going to benefit from this. And so I think a lot of times, and we're about to go to mental shift number two, which is zoom out. A lot of times I get so stuck in that zoomed in, like that minor, like all I'm doing is I'm looking at that wall of mud or dirt or whatever, of rock, and nothing's happening. Instead of kind of zooming out and saying, like, you know what, when this is over, because it will be over, right? I don't know when, but it will be over. Think about all these things that could be happening that are going to be amazing, and think how awesome this is going to be for my future self.
Hmm. Yeah, that ties perfectly into that zoom out shift that we were talking about. Is it's so easy to look back at the hard seasons of gratitude and see the lessons that they were teaching you, even like I was just saying. But it's a hell of a lot harder to take that perspective when you're deep in it because when you're going through it, everything feels so massive, everything feels so heavy. You're emotional, it feels like the world is falling apart, there's no way out, you're never gonna recover. Like, at least maybe that's what I feel. But like you really feel like that one problem defines your whole life and everything's gonna fall apart. Kind of like you were saying, is I always remind myself in a few months, like, what is this going to be? It probably won't nearly feel as big. It might not even be relevant anymore, especially in a few years. Like, this is just going to be a small bump in the road on the journey. And so it's just good to put yourself in that perspective. And I always know that I'm just going to get through it fine. Like, I'll be stronger for it. And I'm going to look back and laugh at how dramatic it felt in the moment. That's kind of even how I'm feeling now, even a week later. I'm like, ah, okay, it wasn't that bad. So I just try to do my best to just zoom out, focus on the bigger picture, and ground myself in the reality that I'm okay, even if it doesn't feel like it right now, just knowing that it will be okay. And I heard Layla Hermosi on a podcast that actually seemed very fitting with the timing that she brought it out. But she had like this concept because we all go to that worst case scenario. We all go like when stuff hits like that, we all immediately go to worst case scenario and how everything's going to fall apart and all the bad things are going to happen. We just go down that rabbit hole and create this whole story in our heads that literally hasn't even happened. It doesn't even exist. It likely won't even happen. And so she was talking about she has a system, I think she called it like a red, yellow, green light, but basically you're writing out each. So whatever situation comes up, you're writing out basically the worst case scenario, like what would realistically be the worst case scenario if things play out that way? What would be the most realistic scenario as far as like what is most likely to happen, like what actually makes sense, what's realistic as far as how things will play out, and then what is the best case scenario? And I feel like that's just a really good reality check for you because again, you go and write out the worst case scenario. I'm like, okay, like is that really gonna happen? Like, let's be real. And then you're kind of like, okay, no. And then so it just gives you more perspective on like what's reality, what isn't, and kind of takes you out of that whole story that your mind is making up and taking you out of those rabbit holes that you get into. And then also you can plan accordingly for each. Like if like go to the most like real one that's going to happen. It's just like you can go and plan for that. So you feel a lot more prepared and better, and there's less anxiety around it because you actually have the plan and you can go and implement on that if you wanted to. So I feel like that's just a good way to kind of put things into perspective and get out of your head as much when you're in those seasons.
Yeah, I do like that a lot because I've always said, we are great storytellers. Unfortunately, like she said, we tend to create like the worst story possible that could happen, and so I don't know. I was thinking about there's this book I used to love this series. It's called Choose Your Own Adventure, and it was really cool because you'd read part of it, and then it would give you an option to choose what to do next, and it
Oh.
would and then whatever you choose, it changes the story. And so, and you, of course, you can go back and see what happens if you did made this decision. But it's just a bunch of decisions. And so I was kind of thinking like, we do kind of do that, except we make these decisions, but then we create like the worst possible storyline of what's going to happen right now. And like you said, with what's the worst case scenario? A lot of times, if we write that down and really think about it, even that worst case scenario is really not that bad. You're like, okay, I don't want that to happen. That kind of stinks, but I mean, I could recover from this, or it's really not that big of a deal. And I think most of the time, it's not even anywhere the way we created that. And so, yeah, I think that's a great thing to intentionally think about it, write that down, go over in your head, say, okay, what could happen? Then also though, on the flip side, what's the awesome thing that could happen to this? What's one of the best things that could happen if I do this? And focusing more so on the positives and not dwelling so much on those negatives.
Yeah, it's kind of just taking you out of that highly emotional state and more into the logical and what's realistic. Another belief that kind of ties into this in general is just I wholeheartedly believe everything is happening for a reason. Kind of going back to that first point too. Everything is preparing you for the next chapter, the next big thing, and it's all happening for you. It's all leading you where you're supposed to be. It's helping give you whatever tools, skills, knowledge, awareness. And so I wholeheartedly believe that. And so I'm always trying to seek that. I'm be like, okay, what is this teaching me in the moment? Zooming out to see that. Or like, what is this clearing the way for so I can accomplish something bigger and greater? And that really has helped me a lot navigate the situation that I was going through there. It just gave me a lot of clarity on that. And I was like, okay, this is actually good. It's happening for me. And I want this. And I'm excited for this and be able to navigate this and get to what's next.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day. Like one of my major goals in life is just to improve my stillness level, right? To be more still. And I asked God, I said, hey, God, will you please help me to be more still? And of course, he's not like, yeah, sure, here you go. He's like, I love this. I'm going to give you some situations to help you to become more still. And so I have to go back and look at those times and say, okay, you know what? He's given me these things before. I did survive it. I grew from it. This next challenge that he's given me, I'm going to get through it too. And he's just preparing me. He's just giving me these things so I can get stronger in just every aspect of life. And so I can become more still, so I can master that. And so the same thing in training or anything else. We're not going to obsess over like one bad workout or one weekend off or one tough weigh-in or whatever. We really have to just zoom out and take that broader view and look at our progress over months and years, not days. And then think about everything that we've been through in the past and just really look at pulling out those things that went really well.
Yeah. If we want some new level of success in whatever area of life, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be challenging. You're not just naturally going to get whatever skills or whatever growth you need. Like we got to go through these seasons that build that for you. And I think most people forget that. And we just want to jump to that end result. So I think seeing it that way is like, okay, this is what's preparing me. This is what's building me. This is how I'm going to get that stillness or whatever it is you're seeking out.
Yeah.
So third mental shift is pursuing the good harder than ever. This kind of goes to our gratitude conversation that we have, I feel like on every podcast, just because it is so important. When life feels heavy, we naturally spiral into obsessing over everything that's wrong. Like we were just saying, I feel like even in the darkest of times, there are so many blessings. And that's always what I try to seek out as opposed to what all is going wrong or what could go wrong. I'm just remembering what is going right, the people I have in my corner, the things I do have, the future that this is preparing me for. And so truthfully, like whatever you're going through, it doesn't matter. There is good in it. And you need to be able to learn and seek that out and lean into that more. Just whatever gratitude, connection, joy, whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily erase the pain, but it can help balance it out and help you seek out more of the good as opposed to just focusing and ruminating on all the things that are going wrong.
And that's not just like positive thinking. Like gratitude actually changes how your brain functions, and it kind of calms your nervous system, and it stops you from making those reactive decisions or have those reactive thoughts, and it gives you enough light to just kind of keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. One thing too, I was thinking about the fact that like growth and success in any area of your life means you're going to get bigger problems. And so one kind of reframe I use is the reason I'm dealing with all this is because of the work that I've done to put myself in a position where these things can even be problems. Like the fact that this is a problem for me is amazing. I'm like, I'm grateful that I'm at the place where I have to deal with these kinds of problems.
I know, and I feel like sometimes that's a good have. It's good to have a conversation with someone that can look at it that way when you're going through these tough times, and they can look at you and say, "Hey, I get that, and I understand your feelings are valid, but look at all the great things that are happening, and yeah, you're going to have to go through these things to get here. So yes, you're right. The harder the life is making it, it's going to be better for you. You know, so celebrate that and keep moving forward.
Yeah, my coach does such a great job of this for me and like always is pointing out those little mental shifts and just especially when I'm in those highly emotional states. And I feel like that's what we do with our clients as well. So I think it can be so valuable to have that outside perspective and someone leading you and guiding you and supporting you through that to help you seek out these things. Again, it's a lot harder in the moment to notice that, especially if it's not something that you've practiced and have implemented a lot.
Yeah, so relating to our fitness journey, right? Instead of obsessing over what we can't eat or what you hate about your body, we want to pursue what's good. And we talked about this on an episode a few weeks ago, right? That fitness should never be a punishment. It's a way to connect with yourself, to celebrate that progress and not shame your imperfections. So let your reasons be rooted in that respect and let it be love and not lack that drives that discipline. So celebrate PRs, enjoy the foods that make you feel good, appreciate what your body actually can do now versus what it couldn't do 6 months ago.
So good. Yeah, all this stuff applies not just to business, not just personal life, but fitness especially. So, mental shift number 4 is control what you can and then let go of the rest. This one's been huge. This is one I implement with the clients a lot. When life feels out of control, I start obsessing and overthinking and trying to manage every single detail. I mean, I do that anyway. I like having control. I like the structure, as we all know. But most of it isn't under my control. And so I just need to check myself and, all right, like, what are the things I actually can control? I can control my routines, the mindset, the shifts that I'm making, the conversations that I choose to have, how I treat my body. And then a lot of the rest of the stuff, it's out of my control. I just need to release that. I need to trust the process. I need to trust God, whatever it is you believe in, and just release that control. Just focus on what you can.
I heard someone say one time, they're like, you have one thing you need to do when you're talking to God, and all it is just trust Him and let Him handle it. It's just one thing. He'll take care of everything else. Your job, trust God. He's going to take care of it. And I get it. It's tough. I mean, I'm a control guy too, and it's really hard to, let go of other things. But I mean, we see this in clients all the time. They stress over the scale or they stress over like social events or things that don't actually matter, like doubling down on what they can do, showing up to lift. I mean, showing up to me sometimes is the biggest win because there are a lot of times where we're not in the mood. We don't feel like it. And when someone's like, yeah, I got my workouts in this week, but I didn't hit any PRs or anything. I'm like, that's a huge win. There's a lot of people out there who chose not to show up and you still showed up despite how you felt. So hitting your protein goals, getting quality sleep, I think those are all the things that we really focus on.
Yeah, and I work with clients a lot on this. Even just one in particular, we talk about this all the time because he tends to go into those spirals too. And he's gotten really good at catching himself on that. But like we're saying, like a coach is so valuable and be able to call you out on this stuff too and help see those shifts. And especially when it comes to a lot of the work stressors he's dealing with, like so much of it is out of his control. And there's big bombs blowing up in his face with that. But I'm like, all right, dude, like let's take a look at this. Like, yeah, it sucks that your bosses are treating you that way, or it sucks that the situation is happening the way it is, but what can you control? You can control your output, the work you're doing, the intent that you're bringing to it. And he does an amazing freaking job of that. So I'm like, all right, just keep doing that. And then the rest is up to them as far as like what they're saying, how they're approaching things. Or if you're not liking your situation, like right now he's looking to find another job because that is in his control on like what his environment is. And so he's just taking control of that and putting intention into that and just his work and showing up the best way he can and understanding that the rest, like it is what it is.
And we have this super extreme, like love-hate relationship with the scale, right? And there's a lot of factors involved. It's not just strictly, whether we're losing weight or not, the scale is going to show that. So we can't control how that scale moves. Sometimes we think we're doing everything right and it's not budging or it's going the wrong direction. So instead of continually to focus on, I want to lose 5 pounds, I want to get to this weight, we focus on what we can control. We can focus on our steps. We can focus on dialing in our nutrition. We can focus on our training effort. We can focus on those things and then just trust the process for the rest and know that eventually we'll get to where we want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we always talk about just show up, do the basics. We don't set the goal of losing a certain amount of weight. We focus on those basic habits, and that's what's going to lead to the weight loss as a side effect. So, kind of same concept there. And last mental shift is going to be not isolating yourself and leaning on the people in your life, leaning into community. This is one historically I've struggled with. I will be honest. I still do. When life gets hard, I isolate and I shut down. I still do it. I definitely have done this in this season as well. I've gotten better and made improvements there. I think when I'm going through those dark periods, I tend to isolate and then I feel more alone than ever. And what I've learned through this and what I know in general is you need people. We need the right people that are going to remind you of who you are when you forget that and just help you carry the weight and are just there for you when things feel unbearable.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too, and I'm like so extreme. And when things get difficult or I'm challenged, I just want to like pull everything internally and just leave me in my own environment and almost kind of like I've got this, I can handle it. I don't need anything else. Just let me deal with it. And sometimes that can help, and sometimes that's positive, but uh, a lot of times I feel like I'm just missing out on a lot of support, a lot of direction that could be, wisdom that could be directing me in the right place. So if you don't have those people, build that circle. And we tell our clients all the time, success, it's a team sport, right? And with a lot of things, we can kind of white knuckle your way through the storm alone, but eventually you're going to get worn down, right? And we really need to let people in that can walk it with you and help us through it and put you in a place that you feel supported and you know that you're going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like I was reminded of this too because, like I said, naturally I pulled back from everything. I was just like keeping to myself, was feeling alone, feeling extra sad, and then it just kind of creates that vicious cycle. And even I was avoiding my best friend who I talked to about everything, and then eventually I just like called him like, all right, fuck it, like we just need to like I just need to get it out. I just need to talk to him, and like immediately I felt better. Like he understood where I was at. He like poured into me, he gave me new perspectives. I'm like, okay, like I need to stop doing this. I need to stop pulling away, especially from the people that you're closest to, that love you, that want to be there for you, that want to support you. Like, truthfully, I think a lot of people feel like they're a burden or like that. I don't know. You're just like weighing on other people. But like, no, I always tell my people this, my clients, my friends, everything. It's like, I want to be there for you when you're struggling. Truthfully, like it makes me feel useful. I want to be able to support you. That's what I'm here for. And so I have to remind myself of that as well.
Yeah, it's so beneficial to have a coach or a community or even just like you said, one accountability partner that is there for you and because you're really not meant to do this alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think overall this discussion is important and kind of why I wanted to bring this up too and just share where I was at is because we all go through these periods where life is just just knocking you over and just kicking you while you're down. I feel like we all go through those seasons and ultimately it's how you show up, how you keep getting back up, how you navigate it and like the shifts that you make while you're in it. And so like we all go through that, me included. I know I'm sure you included too. Like, do you have any particular experiences or just like thoughts you have on like when you experience this stuff or things that you think about, or just like how you navigate those situations in your life?
Yeah, I can't think of a specific moment off the top of my head, but like we said, like I really I go through a lot of challenging times in life. Of course, sometimes it's my own created story. Like we've said, like sometimes it's really not that challenging. I make it so difficult on myself. But yeah, that's so I tend to like we were talking about just pull it all in and I know that's one thing that I need to figure out and work on and be able to open up to other people and talk to them. And I think kind of like we were saying, being a bird, I don't know if I've thought about it like that, but I almost kind of feel like, you know what, like other people have their own thing that they're dealing with their own thing. Like I can handle this. I don't need to work. I don't need to put it on other people. I don't know, and then there's some just times where you're just like, I don't know how to present it. I don't know how to communicate this. And I think also kind of being a guy as well, sometimes like we're almost expected to be like this, yeah, we're okay. We're good. We got this. And so to be able to kind of be vulnerable, I think is just a really, really challenging thing for men in general, I feel like. And I've always been, and part of it's like my personality and, being introverted, and and all the things I've gone through in my life, like I tend to just kind of, like I said, deal with it internally, and I figure it out. But so yeah, I think for me, for my growth, is just to be able to figure out how to open up and communicate more, and just be, and know that it may be a tough conversation, or it may be a tough environment, or whatever, but I need to go out there and look for it. As much as I'm a team player and I love team sports, I feel like sometimes I lead my life as if I'm out there on an island by myself.
Mm. Yeah. And because I think one thing you hit on too is like, yeah, you can handle it on your own, sure, but is that the best way to go about it? Because like, yeah, like I can do it all shit on my own. Like I can get through it. I have done it in the past. It's like that's not the way that we're supposed to do. I think we're supposed to have that people. We're supposed to have that support, be able to lean on them. But yeah, it can definitely be a big challenge. And I think, like you said too, especially for men, because I feel like the narrative around that is like, no, you need to be strong. You need to keep everything to yourself. And I feel like we need to start shifting that a little bit and be able to be more open and vulnerable, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's a difficult process. It's definitely something that you don't just fix overnight, or something. And a lot of times you may not even realize it. It may take a lot of journaling or having conversation with people before you start saying, "Hey, you know what? I do this," or I need to, a lot of these mindset shifts I need to kind of put into place, because I'm struggling, and I'm quitting too often, and not seeing things through. So I mean, the big part of it, it's hard times are part of the deal, right? That's part of life. No one has ever gone through life be like, wow, this is just a piece of cake. Everything is amazing.
It wouldn't be fun
and
if
I,
that was the case either.
well, yeah, and I might have mentioned this on the podcast before, but there was a great, I was in this college ministry type thing, and they were did a little sermon, and it was a beautiful day out, and the guy leading it was like, oh, it was such a beautiful day, right? He goes, I wish every day could be like this. And we're like, oh yeah. And then he kind of paused, and I really think it like hit him right there. And he's like, you know what though? If every day was like this, we'd never grow.
Hmm.
And that just stuck with me, because it's like, you're right. Like a lot of times those really difficult situations and places that we're in, kind of like we were referring to earlier, that's when we're growing, and that's when we know that we are doing good things. We're doing big things because we're having to go through all this now. And if we just keep trudging along, keep moving forward one step at a time, man, it's going to be pretty awesome when we get to the other side.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have appreciation for all the highs and all the good things in your life if you didn't go through the lows, if you didn't earn it, if you didn't like go through the challenges to get there. And I feel like that's why when you get to that breakthrough on the other side, it's like that much more of a high and that much more amazing, because like you earned that, you grinded through it, you put in all the work, and you leaned into that fear, this comfort, whatever it is. And so I feel like you wouldn't have that appreciation if you didn't go through those dark times.
Yeah, just kind of side note, there's always that thought of, hey, I wish there was just a pill that could help me become healthier, or whatever. And I don't think that'd be a good thing,
No.
because of all the things you just said. I think a lot of the victory comes from all the challenges you have to go through, and all the hard work and the effort, and the falling down and having to get back up, and falling down and having to get back up. All those things to get to that place where you're like, look at me now. Like, this took a lot of effort. This took a lot of work. This took a lot of support. There's a lot of things that went into it, and you just don't feel the same if something's just given to you.
Hmm. Yeah, I always say like if you could, yeah, like if you had a magic pill, or you just magically got to your weight loss goal, or you got jacked overnight, it would not be the same. You wouldn't have the same appreciation. You wouldn't have like the same foundation that allowed you to get to that point. It wouldn't stick long term either. So yeah, it's all about that process.
Yeah. All right. Well, life's not going to just slow down and make things easy, right? We figured that out. So it's not about wanting those things to calm down or just everything to be perfect. It's basically, how do we handle this chaos in life that happens, right? Do we stay down, or do we keep going? Do we get back up, keep moving forward? And so if things are feeling heavy for you right now, here's your reminder: the hardest moments usually do come right before things get better. So don't quit. I bet you're closer than you think.
Yeah, for anyone going through shit right now in their life, just know like it does get better. We're here for you too. If you need support, feel free to reach out to me. Come join us on our community. We also have all sorts of tools to help you level up in fitness, your mindset, life in general. So I'll drop the link to our community in the show notes. It's completely free. And overall, too, kind of speaking of gratitude, I just want to thank everyone who has tuned in to our episodes over the last, we're at 41 now. It's been so incredible for Laurence and I, and it's just so cool hearing your feedback too, and people who listen. And a lot of our clients are like, "Oh, I'm listening to the podcast, but I'm working out." Like, it got me so fired up. So, just want to say, everyone, we truly are so grateful and appreciative of you for tuning in, and we hope that we're giving you a ton of value. If there's anything particular you want to hear or us to talk about, let us know. And yeah, it's been an awesome journey so far, and I'm looking forward to continuing to build on this. We will catch you guys on the next one.